I needed a new phone. I thought to myself, यार MBA हो गया, अब एक अच्छा सा phone लेते हैं. It was a 50K phone, and then I discovered Smart Buy and HTFs and everything else, and so I got this phone with like 18,000 points back to me, right? This is when I realized the true power of this credit cards in general, and then what HTFC has created, what all these banks have created in terms of reward points, right? Then afterwards, I've routed almost all my spends through credit cards. I knew I was getting a base reward point of 3.3% on my card, right? And it just immediately struck me, यार card पे क्यों नहीं ले रहे? So I spoke with the dealer, and he said, no, who buys a car on credit card? I said, this is the only way I can buy, otherwise I can't afford it. And this was after the car was finalized, even the window visors were put on the car. Okay. Then I said at the last minute, and he said, okay, but it's a 2% extra charge. I told him I can't pay it. He said, okay, I'll bring it down to 1.5% for you. So I said, I can't pay more than 0.5. Okay. He said 0.75. I said, okay, deal.
So you got like 33,000?
Yeah, exactly. The only reason I'm able to, or I want to accumulate these many cards or use them as much as I can is I know I'm very disciplined with money. Right. Like जब मैं 8th स्टैंडर्ड में भी मुझे 80 रुपीज़ की पॉकेट मनी मिलती थी, उस पर से मैं 20 रुपये बचा के सेव करता था.
You are a very, I would say, a casual user. Although you have many credit cards, but you don't try and over-optimize. For sure. This podcast is targeted at people like you, more like you, who are not super optimizers, because this is how I think normal people would use credit cards. Yeah. Today I have Kabir Khattar with me, and we're going to have an interesting conversation around credit cards. Hi Kabir.
Hi Ankush.
Let's start with what you do.
I cover quickly my journey, right? After my MBA, I've been a consultant, then worked at startups for the next 4 years in business roles, and now I'm just looking for my next gig to figure out where's the correct startup and the correct 0 to 1 journey to join.
Okay. And so like we were talking earlier, you are a credit card enthusiast. Yes. You have 16 cards. What got you started on the journey?
Right after my MBA, HTFC reached out to our entire alum base saying we're giving you a free credit card.
Acha.
This was 2019. And that was a Diners Black card, which I didn't value then, but now I realize the value, and that's where it started.
I see. So Diners Club Black was your first card?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now you have 16.
Yeah, I don't count, but I only use like top 2-3. Rest are very situation specific cards, so I don't really count how many cards
discount
are there.
Use
here and there, right? Because I don't want to reach out to friends and say, do you have this card that can give me this discount? So I might as well get it LTF. But none of my cards are paid.
All are LTF.
All are LTF, or a couple of them are first year free.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And you're married, right?
Yes.
So does your wife know you have 16 credit cards?
She does, because I bought this card holder of Amazon, and she said, who needs this?
Okay.
And I said, I do. So yeah, unfortunately she knows now. Yeah.
Okay. And she's pro you having so many credit cards?
Yeah, we do a tally of how much we've saved over the year, just a rough tally, and then she gives me a thumbs up at the end of it. Yeah.
Okay. Did it take effort to convince her, or get her on board?
Not really, because I think research takes some time to get to effectively using a lot of these cards.
Right.
How do I convince my folks that I'm spending time here? That's the part that takes convincing.
Okay.
Otherwise, nothing else takes convincing, right? We've gained so much out of these cards. I look at cards almost like an investment center. Like at the end of the year, I'm trying to see what returns I've made out of my cards. Right? I'm not over optimizing, I'm not stressing over it, but I do see what is the return I've actually made because of my credit card.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think a lot of people look at cards as liabilities, but if you use them well, they're definitely an asset.
Absolutely.
And they give you a return. Cool. Yeah. So Kabir, you got, because of your college, you got a free Diners Club Black card. Been about 5-6 years?
Yeah.
And then you didn't really value it.
Yeah.
So how did that change from there till today? What has been the journey like? What happened in the last 4-5 years?
The first point where I valued it was I needed a new phone. Okay. And I've always been a Xiaomi guy who was buying the 12 to 15K phone, using it for 2-3 years and then moving on. Then I thought to myself, yaar MBA ho gaya, अब एक अच्छा सा phone लेते हैं. But it was a 50K phone, and then I discovered Smart Buy and HTFs and everything else, and then the rewards are uncapped.
Yeah.
So I got this phone with like 18,000 points back to me, right? This is when I realized the true power of this credit cards in general, and then what HTFC has created, what all these banks have created in terms of reward points, right? That was the start of the journey, and then afterwards I've routed almost all my spends through credit cards except my marriage spends because of separate reasons, but including buying my car, to all my vacations, to even the day-to-day items. I've routed all my spends through credit cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to stress a bit more on the car point because that is in talks a lot nowadays.
Yeah.
Recently, I think a day or two ago, there was a post about the same thing, how people are buying cars with credit cards now. Walk me through that. Like, how did you go about that? If you paid anything extra, how much did you spend, and what kind of reward points you earned?
Yeah, this was May last year, so this was before buying cars on credit cards was the cool thing.
Yeah.
So I knew I was getting a base reward point of 3.3% on my card, right? And it just immediately struck me, card pe kyun nahi le rahe the? Just why do I pony up cash, or even cash is also like 2 lakhs, rest 8 has to be an NEFT transfer, right? And whenever I have to do a UPI or NEFT of anything, for instinctive thought is, okay, I transfer it to the card. Like that's the instinct that has been built over time. So I spoke with the dealer and he said, no, who buys a car on credit card? I said, this is the only way I can buy, otherwise I can't afford it.
Okay.
I told him, right? I just wanted to put it up to him, like the ball's in your court. If I have to buy, and this was after the car was finalized, even the window visors were put on the car.
Okay.
Then I said at the last minute.
Okay.
And he said, okay, but it's a 2% extra charge. Okay. He said, I can't. I said, I can't do it. Now I got to know that the merchants are not allowed to put 2% extra, whatever. Like, they're not allowed to pass the merchant discount rate to the consumer.
Yeah, it depends. So for things like cars, they still can.
Okay.
But so basically that machine that they have is not meant to take payments for purchasing a car.
Okay.
Therefore, other payments like service charges and stuff like that, and if you're getting your car serviced and stuff like that. So they can.
Yeah.
There's nothing really against it. But normal merchants, if you're shopping for something, etc., they're not supposed to pass on the NDR to the user. They're not supposed to. But yeah, so what did you end up paying actually extra?
So I told him I can't pay it. Like, I just didn't. I think that was the best negotiation of my life ever. I said I can't pay it.
Okay.
He said, okay, I'll bring it down to 1.5% for you.
Okay.
And then I realized he's negotiating against himself. That means he has a lot of leg room, right? So I said I can't pay more than 0.5. Okay. He said 0.75. I said, okay, deal.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
Yeah, I paid about 0.7 or 0.75, and I got a 3.3% flat points.
Right? And what was the total transaction?
Yeah, it was a 10 lakh car, and I swiped it once for 5, and then I replenished it, and I paid the amount, and the next day I came again and swiped 5 again.
I see. So you got like 33,000.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, a lot of people may take it in a wrong way, that even if you don't have the money, but you have the right cards, you can go and buy a car with the card. But I don't think that's you did that. You had the money in your bank account.
Yeah.
But instead of doing an NEFT or an RTGS directly, you ordered via the card and then you paid the bill as soon as you could, right?
Correct.
So that is why I'm stressing on this, is that this is one reason why cards are hated by a lot of people, because they are not disciplined enough and they end up spending more than they can pay back.
Yeah.
And then they start hating on cards and telling others as well कि credit card कभी मत लेना, बहुत घटिया चीज़ है, right?
Correct.
So I just so that's the point.
No, that's a good point actually. The only reason I'm able to, or I want to accumulate these many cards or use them as much as I can because I know I'm very disciplined with money.
Right.
Like जब मैं 8th standard में भी मुझे 80 rupees की pocket money मिलती थी, उस पे से मैं 20 रुपए बचा के save करता था.
Wow.
Like I'm a saver by nature,
Right.
not a spender. And if you're disciplined, then there's nothing like cards, right? Like
True.
I would never spend money that I don't have.
Right. And I don't think it takes like an enormous amount of discipline. You just need to know कि इतना मेरी incoming है, इतनी मेरी, इतना पैसा आ रहा है, इससे ज़्यादा मुझे खर्चा नहीं करना है. If you're just aware of that, I think that's good enough.
And routing those spends through credit cards. Like
Exactly.
I could have spent through UPI or NEFT or whatever. I just route my spends through or credit cards or vouchers or whatever I can. That's the
Great, yaar.
summary.
Any other such purchases, like, weird purchases on cards?
Not a spender, but no, we went on a nice honeymoon. Yeah? Like we went to New Zealand and it was quite steep, but we financed the tickets through points that we had, and tickets were shit expensive. It allowed us to just stretch beyond the means because we realized, okay, these are points that credit card gods have given to us, and we can just go beyond the means slightly.
So you basically had a more luxurious honeymoon than you would have had.
The destination itself was luxurious. Otherwise, I would have gone to some place nearby.
Right.
But the destination itself was, I think, a fairly luxurious one, and that was the best trip I ever had in my life.
So you had a much better trip because of the points.
For sure, and the lounges that come with it, and priority pass lounges, etc., just allowed us a very smooth trip overall.
Awesome. Any idea how much in terms of cash you would have saved? So if you had done that entire trip, let's say by cash or paying via your account or debit card, but by using reward points, what was the differential that you saved? Any idea?
Yeah, I think close to 2L or so.
2 lakhs?
Yeah.
You saved by using a reward point.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Could have saved more if we used hotels by doing that whole jing bang of transferring points to hotel partners.
Right.
But I don't over optimize.
Okay.
And I really like staying with the locals. That's why I prefer Airbnbs.
Okay.
And I found some insanely good locals there, and we hung out with like 60-year-old people in their yachts and whatnot just because of we stayed in Airbnbs.
Oh, wow.
So I don't over optimize.
Right.
But pay with points as much as I can.
It's been a while since you've been using cards, and you have several of them. Do you think, as a user, the experience of getting cards, then using them, and then redeeming reward points for various stuff, the whole experience, do you feel there are any gaps there that could be filled? That needs to be filled. Something that the banks can do better. Banks or maybe a third party can do better. And I'm not specifically talking about giving better rewards and stuff, because that's obviously that depends on their P&L. But other than that, experience wise, what do you think is missing and could be done better?
When you spoke, it just reminded me of my wife says, in her world, beauty is pain. I say saving money is pain because it is so difficult, and it's not to stereotype a gender, right? But saving money, and especially through points, is so difficult because I think UX is very tough overall.
Okay.
Let's say the most popular one, Smart Buy, right? So difficult to track your points, how much has gone in, what are the refunds that have come out. There's arbitrary additions, subtractions that you just see in a statement.
Right.
And unless you can maintain an Excel yourself, which I tried for the first month 5 years ago, then I gave up for the next 59 months. But it's just so difficult to see what your milestones are, what you're gunning for, how much have you already gotten it, have you reached your caps or not, and whatnot, right?
Right.
So the UX is, I think, terrible, for the lack of a better word.
Okay.
And I do see there is a space for somebody to just put everything, right, an Amex or put everything in one place, and HDFC points, Amex points, Axis points and whatnot, just to give me a consolidated view of, okay, यार मैं करना क्या चाह रहा हूँ पूरे साल में, क्या बचा, कितना करना चाह रहा हूँ, क्या बचा है,
Right.
do I even want to chase it or not?
Right.
That's one of the reasons I go for LTF cards, is because I don't want to chase milestones, so to say, right? And because I can't, because there is no consolidated view either, so I don't want to burden myself further.
Right.
So,
I think
yeah.
There was a contender, an app I think starts with C, that people expected to do such stuff. But they didn't really end up doing that.
Yeah. Promised lands were very different. And no, I'm sure everybody's doing their best here, and I'm sure there's tons of challenges, regulatory challenges, product challenges, some APIs are not open, I don't know what, right? Like there's tons of challenges.
Yeah.
But I would be a customer for that product is all I can say.
Awesome. I hope we are able to build something.
Hopefully.
और क्या benefits use करते हो कबीर? Credit cards को, what other things that you use them for?
I think lounges everybody uses.
अब तो लंगर हो गए, lounge नहीं रहे.
लंगर हो गए हैं, and दिल्ली से हैं तो लाइन में खड़े होने की आदत भी नहीं है. So I figured out some ways that I wouldn't want to say here, but internationally lounges really helped us a lot when we were we've traveled internationally because of this. And both of us, me and my wife, are at that stage where we are very enthusiastic about travel. Right. Maybe a few years down the line, that enthusiasm dies down as more responsibilities in life take over. But and that we got, like, last month we went to Coldplay in Thailand, and we just ate our brains out at like all the lounges that we could, because we realized the flights were long and we hate flight food. Like we absolutely free में भी मिल रहा था, हम खाना नहीं खाते flight का.
Okay.
And that was only possible because of credit cards.
So you attended Coldplay concert.
Yeah, but that was not because of the credit card. Okay. I wanted to, and I couldn't, and I had to pay for that for UPI, which still hurts. But tickets were point sponsored, and flight tickets, I mean.
Okay. So flights were paid for.
Flights are always perpetually. I hope so. Fingers crossed. In life, in perpetuity, flights are paid for by hotel points. These credit card points. Okay. And hotels depending on the city. Other than that, we see. We watch a lot of movies there, like, because our society shares a wall with a PVR.
Okay.
So we just get up and go and watch a movie, and which is almost always subsidized by a credit card.
Right.
An
1+1.
An LTF credit card, right? That just allows us to just spend some time together, have fun, build good memories. Like we watched Dune 2, like a couple.
How's it?
It's a lovely movie. I cannot.
Yeah, people are
sell it
saying it's
enough.
the best movie of the last 25 years, best sci-fi movie.
And I'm a purist. I'm a purist who notices camera angles and whatnot. So I wouldn't call it the best, but it's a very, very good movie. I can't sell it enough.
Yeah.
Like
No.
I'll pay for you to go there.
I read something very interesting that Dune 2, especially the way it has been made, ensures that theaters are not going to die.
Yeah.
Streaming, I mean, सिर्फ streaming नहीं रह जाएगी.
For sure.
Yeah. So and yeah, I mean, I recently watched Dune 1 actually.
Okay.
Loved it. Been waiting to watch Dune 2, but I'll go and see it with my wife.
IMAX only though. Just because
IMAX
of exactly
only.
what you said.
Yes.
It's IMAX worthy.
Yeah.
One that justifies the price.
Right. All of us who have, so many credit cards and who are into credit cards so much, we happen to share our cards with friends and family members as well. I'm sure you've done that.
Yeah.
So ऐसे भी दोस्त हैं जो सिर्फ तभी फोन करते हैं जब कार्ड चाहिए होता है.
नहीं ऐसे नहीं है दोस्त. rather मैं वो बंदा हूँ because that's what I was saying to you off camera, right? Like people don't have the aptitude, inclination, sensitivity towards the fact that this is a legitimate discount coupon that you're not using, right?
Right.
People would be okay, यार कौन ढूंढेगा एक credit card, चलो let me just pay through UPI, right?
Right.
Today I consider paying through UPI as blasphemy. You shouldn't pay through UPI at all. Although love the digital public infrastructure that the government has built,
Yeah.
and everybody's building is on top of that.
Right.
But credit card is a rewarding platform, and
Yes.
I know people who are able to generate like 20% of their annual spends as get back as reward points, right?
Yeah, I've been.
You are those people. I'm not there yet because I don't make Excels, I don't optimize. And now I found one favorite card and I keep using that for most use cases.
Yeah.
Very specific use cases, I'll use like 2-3 more.
Right.
But not enough people give it enough importance or वो तवज्जो नहीं मिलता society में जो मिलना चाहिए.
Right.
And that's one of the things I feel strongly about. How can I get more people to use credit cards as much as they can, right?
Okay.
So in the recent past, like I did this credit card consultation with a Twitter influencer, which was very helpful to be honest, right?
Okay.
Then I realized like that really opened my eyes. There's a lot of avenues for to be explored in this.
Yes.
And since then, because I got a lot of love and I try to pay it back to the universe
Right.
by doing these consultations for all my close friends and family.
Okay.
That way you just speak with them, just like help them optimize a credit card usage and gain more points, right?
Right.
So one of my cousins now like has traveled so much after just getting a credit card 6 months before, an Infinia card. His salary allowed him, and now he's routing all those spends through an Infinia, and he's traveled so much just because of getting those points.
Right.
So one of the things that I strongly feel about is just how to get more people to divert their spends to credit cards. At the same time, be very responsible in what they're spending, right? No, don't overspend. That's the asterisk or the big disclaimer that comes for everything that we do. Only
Right.
spend as much as you would spend naturally. Just route it through credit cards.
Yeah. So I think that's also a big reason why my LinkedIn posts worked really well, because
Yeah.
exactly the thing that you're talking about, that education, right? So how they were structured were also like that. I mean, we talked about we picked up one card and talked about how you can use it really well
Yeah.
to achieve certain goals. I think that's what people loved. Like even you were saying.
I'm a fan of which are far and few now. I'm sure you have more things to do in life, but when they were coming in hot and heavy, like I think once a fortnight you were putting a lot of posts. I'm a fan of those posts. That really brought out education. I'm sure that's a great acquisition channel as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like it opens up a new world for people. I realize people who are disconnected from credit cards don't even realize there is a whole other world.
Yes.
The disconnect is so real.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Props to you for the
Education
posts.
definitely is an issue.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to know that you're trying to solve it, at least for your near and dear ones.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do it at a slightly larger scale via LinkedIn and stuff. Yeah, let's see how it goes. I am very hopeful that it'll get better and better because in India we are at a very low penetration right now. Right? 3-4% of the population
versus like
is cards.
20% globally, 20-25%
Yeah.
in the more developed countries.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how low penetration is, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
props to you and the team for trying to fight the good fight. Let's see where it takes you.
Thank you so much, Ad. So you are a very I would say a casual user. Although
For sure.
you have many credit cards.
Yeah.
But you don't try and over optimize.
For sure.
And that's very interesting, yeah, to be honest, because I think I have met a lot of people who are super optimizers.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of people.
Yeah.
In fact, I am not one of those. I don't super optimize. I don't maintain an Excel for all of my reward points. I have 10 credit cards, but I use three of them.
Same.
And I know which one to take out when. I know that. It's built into my mind instinctively. It's not because I don't have to do a calculation before I take out a card and make the payment with it. So it's sort of muscle memory now.
Bang on. Same for me.
Yeah. So I try and do that. And the idea is I want this conversation is like this podcast is targeted at people like you, more like you, who are not super optimizers, because this is how I think normal people would use credit cards.
Yeah.
Right?
Who have a full-time job, who
Exactly.
have family and relationships, who have health goals and etc.
Who don't want to maintain Excel sheets.
Yeah, who don't want to maintain Excel sheet and put so much thought in. I think the most critical thing to me, more than say or reward rate, is my mind space.
Right.
Like I don't want to sacrifice my mind space for like 0.7% extra.
Right.
I'm sure there's money on the table that I'm leaving, but I'm happy with it.
Right.
I'm getting my goals fulfilled. I'm traveling and I'm doing things that I wouldn't do otherwise because of credit cards. So I'm happy with it.
Yes. I think one point that I just want to stress again is no one really needs to maintain an Excel and keep a track of everything happening on their cards every time to get great returns. You are getting 10 to 15% returns just by using your cards casually, just by knowing which card to use when, just by having I would say a very rough framework in your head.
Correct.
And I think that's easy to for most people. That's easy to do for most people.
For sure. And information, there's still information arbitrage in this market.
Yeah.
Like thanks to the good folks at Twitter who spread this knowledge, thanks to you who share this knowledge freely.
Right.
That's why a casual non-optimizer is able to grab or get their hands on that knowledge and then optimize without spending too much time and effort.
Yes.
So as this knowledge dissemination becomes a bigger and bigger thing or is more productized or standardized,
Right.
Then I think we can expect more and more people to hop on the train.
Right. Yeah, I think that's. I would take this as the primary learning from this conversation.
Yeah.
That you don't have to be a nerd to get great returns from your credit cards.
CC geek, not necessary. CC casual user is also living a fairly decent life and is happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that. You've been doing amazing trips and attending a Coldplay concert. It's a goal for me. So let's see when I'm able to do that. It's been amazing, Kabir, talking to you. So thanks for sharing all of this information. I hope people learn a lot from this. And hopefully we'll talk again soon. Maybe in the second season.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, man.
Cheers. Yeah.